Sean just in time for kickoff, and Stanford starts with the ball tonight, and they'll start out at the 25-yard line. 14th ranked Stanford hosting Utah. Adam Amin, Rod Gilmore, Quint Kesnick with you tonight. Your old stomping grounds, RG. Big key tonight. You just heard from Travion Williams, excellent running back. Stanford without their excellent running back tonight.
Yeah, no Bryce Love tonight, and a little bit of a surprise. He didn't practice all week, but you had the sense he'd talked David Shaw into allowing him to give it a go. That did not happen. It's probably the right move because last season when he had the ankle, he never got healthy. And so the hope for Stanford is he takes the night off and he comes back next week after their bye week healthy and ready to go.
Yeah, 11 days in between. They won't play until a week from next Thursday. Here's K.J. Costello with the first play from scrimmage, and it's a pass complete to J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. And K.J. Costello with a 15-yard completion as his offensive line introduces him.
K.J. Costello is a playmaker.
Passionate. SoCal. Confident.
The big boys up front trying to keep K.J. Costello protected tonight.
Yeah, they've had their issues, particularly the last couple of weeks. And last week, Notre Dame broke free for 5 sacks. And this offensive line has heard about it all week.
So with no Bryce Love, Trevor Spates, along with Cameron Scarlett and Dorian Maddox, will be in the backfield tonight to try to make up for the loss of the All-American. For more, let's go down to Quint Kesnick.
Yeah, you're going to see Trevor Spates, as you said, the junior from Texas. He's kind of a one-cut downhill guy, not a dancer. And Cameron Scarlett, the senior from Portland, who's a short yardage specialist, a good pass receiver. But this puts a lot more pressure on K.J. Costello. The matchup tonight for Stanford may be with their tight ends.
They've got some big tight ends in this offense. Spates pounding ahead to the 44. It'll set up 3rd down and 6.
You know, Quint's right about the matchup with the tight ends. Stanford last year in this game really went to a lot of 2 tight end sets, and not as a power source, but spreading out their tight ends. You've got a 6'7" tight end and a 6'5" tight end could come in handy on downs like this, 3rd and 6.
Or David Shaw's offense. Costello towards the sticks and incomplete, going to one of those tight ends. In fact, Caden Smith, one of the better pass catchers for Stanford, unable to hold on.
Yeah, and a really good job by Utah and also Ballard in particular, anticipating that matchup and knew exactly where the sticks were and got in and made that play. There's no question that Utah is thinking along with Stanford's tendencies.
Britton Covey, a dangerous return man, back for Utah. Jake Bailey punts it away. And a touchback. So Utah's first possession features the 6'1" junior Tyler Huntley. Did not play against Stanford last season due to a shoulder issue. And this is a young man who has grown into this position at quarterback for Utah.
Well, and he's really the key to what happens here tonight. And someone who will be very interested will be, his mother, his dad. They both coached him, as a Pop Warner and a teenager. And Mom watches him closely and will call him after games and continue to coach and critique.
Ricky and Regina, Tyler's parents. Maybe my favorite story about Tyler Huntley, which tells you a lot. His dad, Ricky, put a ball in his hands at age 3, and Ricky was his wide receiver, basically. To this day, Tyler's a junior in college now. To this day, when he comes home to Florida, drops his bags at the door, finds Ricky, and throws 100 balls to him out in the yard. Still does that. That is awesome. Zach Moss, his high school teammate, and his main running back, takes it to the 26.
Yeah, Sean Barton got in there to make that tackle. And, really for Utah, as they face a 3rd down here, a lot falls on Huntley. And he's not really a deep down-the-field passer, not an intermediate guy. Strong arm, but he's really good with short passes, and boy, is he athletic. He can scramble, he can get to the edge, he can cause nightmares that way for defense.
Throwing on third down, and it's complete to Damari Simpkins. The other part of the Hallandale High School trio. Simpkins trying to get going for this Utah team.
Yeah, those three guys made a pact when they were in high school to come out to Utah from Florida and to give the Utes their first Pac-12 title. That means there's no margin for error tonight. They can't afford to have their third conference loss.
Good strike over the middle to Covey, who lost the football at midfield. They will initially rule it incomplete.
Well, there were two officials with two different signs. One said incomplete. Another said catch and fumble. And I think the catch and fumble has been overruled.
I would venture to say that felt like a movement upfield with possession of the football, though, for Britton Covey. Did he have control of it is the question at all.
I think it's a fair call. It didn't look like he really controlled that football before it came out.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with you after that second look, Rodney. Incomplete, looking for Covey again. Malik Antoine on the coverage to force third down.
Yeah, and this is the real challenge again. We've seen Huntley make those short throws. He's really, really good with that. Now with a 3rd and 10, this is the challenge. This is likely to be a real defensive struggle. It's got to be smart with the football. Stanford will probably, as they are showing, two safeties, meaning they're playing him for that intermediate deep throw.
He's got 5 options. He finds Covey, and Sean Barton, the Utah native, makes the stop to shut down the drive. You told me that Sean Barton is a little bit of the lifeblood of this defense for Stanford.
He may be their most physical player. He really gets himself psyched up for games, and everyone around him, the other players, sort of feed off of that. His intensity, get his speed, and a nice clean tackle. And he will tell his teammates how fired up he is.
Owen out to the 30-yard line. Sean Barton, one of 6 Utah natives on this Stanford roster, gives it back to Costello. Welcome back to ESPN College Football presented by Geico. The tree's ready for a little Pac-12 on ESPN tonight.
I know how much you love the tree.
The eyes are freaking me out, Rod.
Well, you know, the winner gets to design their own costume. That's reflective of the personality of the person underneath that.
I fear to meet the person underneath that based off that. Adam Amin, Rod Gilmore, Quinn Kesnick, all with you from Stanford Stadium in Stanford, California. 14th ranked Cardinal hosting the Utes. No Bryce Love tonight. For KJ Costello leaning on others, including Caden Smith.
Well, and a lot more falls on Costello, and he's emerged as kind of a star this season. I mean, he's really, really good and made some really good throws when teams have put a lot more pressure on Stanford, taking away Bryce Love in the rushing attack. And Q, you mentioned earlier tight ends. It might be more than that tonight.
Yeah, in terms of big play potential, I don't see it from the running backs, but maybe the tight ends up the seam tonight will be a good look for him.
We've got Trevor Spades as the tailback here from the 36. And Spades has the first down. For the first time, we check in with Adnan Virk, my man.
My guy Adam Amin, DirecTV, more for your college football thing. Auburn and Mississippi State. Nick Fitzgerald eclipsing Tim Tebow, most SEC rushing yards for a quarterback. And SEC ranked teams on the road have a tough day, Adam. LSU, Kentucky, and now Auburn. Back to you.
We just saw an overtime loss for Kentucky. LSU had to go to Florida today. The Gators winners, and some struggles for Auburn. Costello from the 43. Plenty of time. Incomplete. Looking for J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. but a flag thrown with Jalen Johnson in coverage.
Yeah, Arcega-Whiteside, as he tried to cut inside, Jalen Johnson grabbed him to hold him up.
Defense prior to the pass, 10-yard penalty, automatic first down.
You'll see it. Just watch this route. As he comes inside, watch Johnson. He just bear hugs him. And a little turn at the end there. It wasn't the turn. It was the hug earlier that kept him, the hold kept him from getting inside when he wanted to.
A defensive holding prior to the pass being thrown.
How about that? You got a fullback. It's not every weekend you see a fullback.
I like it. Old school with Reagan Williams in there right now. We'll end around for Michael Wilson, the freshman. He gets drilled by Bradley Anae. You know how important Bradley Anae is to this Utah defense.
Well, mark that as a failure for Stanford and a win for Anae, because he is a great pass rusher. Stanford was thinking they'd catch him sleeping inside, trying to rush, but no, he stayed home. And look at his play. That is a heck of a play. Nothing wrong with that aggressiveness. That's a heck of a tackle. It's also a little message. You think I'm not staying home for a reverse? Please.
Bradley Anae did not play in Utah's loss against Stanford last season. He was raring to go tonight. Spates down to the 45-yard line.
You know, we've talked about Costello having to step up, but the focus for Stanford this week has really been their offensive line.
Yep.
And they've sort of been rocked to their core. David Shaw believes in a physical offensive line, and the last couple of weeks that's been not been the case, and they have been pushing them to get back to uphold that standard.
Had a brutal game last week against Notre Dame, including against Jerry Tillery, who blew up the O-line of Stanford. And Costello being chased here by Chase Hansen. One of the captains of this Utah defense shuts down the drive.
Yeah, how about you just drop in a little bit of a corner blitz? You're not going to see it, but it's coming that way, and nobody picks it up. Blackman comes from that angle. No one sees him, and he shows up. That's actually Hansen inside there making that play. We talked about that offensive line having issues.
Yep. Already the second punt from Bailey. That'll be another touchback. Chase Hansen, the senior out of Highland, Utah. Moving to linebacker from safety this season. Big play early.
ESPN College Football is presented by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And in part by Reese's Peanut Butter Cups.
Oh, yeah. He's tapping. I had to tap out. I'm starting to feel sick.
A.T. Hall is the right tackle for Stanford, who ordered, I believe, 25 wings the other night. Did not get all the way through.
Let me get this right. You challenged the offensive line to a wings eating contest?
Where do you how do you think I did? Just like if you had to guess, how do you think I did?
I think pride kept you in the hunt, but you were nowhere near the top.
My pride was bruised, among, I'm sure, other things inside my body after that night. Well, here comes Utah, and Zach Moss trying to get going for this Utes offense. He is a major key at running back.
Well, he's really their identity. I mean, they want to run the football, and they want to use him. He is a big back who can make you miss tackles, and look, he's actually limping off the field.
Yeah, his lower right leg. You know, he was not 100% earlier in this year. The coaching staff told us this week this is the healthiest he's been. But after that successful run between the tackles, it's like a right lower leg injury, and Moss comes over to the sideline. That's a big hit for this Utah team, is he has the majority of their carries.
So now it's Armand Shine in the game, moving the chains, upended by Frank Bunkum. Let's check in with Adnan Virk.
All right, Adam, thank you very much. It's the Capital One fan vote update. Notre Dame's taking on Virginia Tech. And Ian Book here to Miles Boykin. How transformed has this Irish offense been with Book now? A new chapter for Notre Dame. 31-16 on ABC. More wings for Adam and me.
I'll take them all, man. That was a big game tonight. Notre Dame being tested on the road against Virginia Tech. Not much there for Shine, but he does pick up 3 on first down.
Are you starting to believe me when I say Notre Dame is perfectly positioned to be top 4 when the initial rankings come out?
I would tend to agree with you. Let me ask you this. Their schedule.
Yep.
It's not easy, but they're favored in just about every game the rest of the way. Where do you think there's a slip up in their future?
No, unless it's USC at the end. I think they have a chance. Even at 11-1, they still might get in.
Quick strike, another first down. Cole Fotheringham, the true freshman out of California, back in his home state.
These are all confidence builders for Hundley. Yeah, they've had trouble in the passing attack. This is the right way to get your quarterback comfortable. And Troy Taylor, the offensive coordinator, recognizes that, and he is just building his confidence with these little short throws.
Keep for Huntley. 2 rushing touchdowns a week ago. He is a very solid dual threat quarterback. Florida Gatorade High School Player of the Year at Hallandale. Threw for 9,000 yards and over 100 touchdowns. Recruited by Dennis Erickson, who was a Utah assistant for 4 years, but of course, maybe best known for winning a couple of national championships at Miami. He was the one that grabbed Tyler Huntley out of Florida, along with Damari Simpkins and Zach Moss, the Hallandale trio.
Well, Huntley was kind of a big deal in Florida. Got him, he got a couple of others.
That's a nice little haul for Dennis Erickson. Trying to convert a 3rd down and short. Design run. Oh, Huntley had a path, but he got tripped up by Jordan Fox.
You want to talk about effort? Jordan Fox gets hit. He's on the ground. Watch him crawl to make this play. That's effort.
He's taken over a big role. Casey Tuhill is out again for the 3rd straight week. And Jordan Fox, who had a forced fumble a week ago, gets the stop. Mitch Wishnowski, one of the best punters in the game, took a hit, and a flag was thrown. Looked like Jovan Swan.
Running into the kicker. Receivers number 51. 5-yard penalty. That results in a first down.
It was 4th down and 2. 5-yard penalty keeps Utah with the ball.
It was almost in slow motion for Swan, and it looks like he had plenty of time, but then he lost his control and balance, and that's a good call. That is the right call.
That's a tough scenario, Rod, because Stanford kept their defense on 4th and short. Wisnowski sniffed it out. He didn't want to kick it right away. He looked at the defense. He was really slow with his mechanics, and that kind of suckered the Stanford player into getting too close to him.
And Q, you're a big fan of both of these teams' special teams units. As Utah sets up on first down with Zach Moss back in the game.
And in a low-scoring game, the punters and place kickers here could play a big part. And fans at home, I can't recall being involved with a game with 2 better kickers and punters. The 4 of them. There are NFL scouts here I was talking to before the game. They are here to watch these punters tonight.
And no surprise, guys, David Shaw, Kyle Whittingham, heavily involved in their special teams.
Yep, they believe in defense and special teams.
Mitch Wishnowski won the Ray Guy Award 2 years ago. Matt Gay, their kicker, won the Groza Award last year. Here's Huntley using his legs again. And he'll be shy of the line to gain, but it's 3rd down and short coming up.
I think Kyle Whittingham has to be pleased with the way they've been able to move the ball. This is a possible 2-down territory if he's thinking of avoiding a field goal if they don't pick it up here. The way they've run the ball, the way their offensive line has been, he's going to have a tough decision if they don't get the first down here.
Huntley finds the alley. The forward progress is enough to keep Utah's offense on the field.
Now, Stanford's been pretty good in the red zone this season. Number 11 in the country in not allowing touchdowns. Does Utah have the ability in the passing game to create something, preferably on their behalf with Covey, number 18?
Here he is with blockers. And Britton Covey with a first down. Their leading receiver, 5'8".
Yeah, he's great with change of direction, just a little screen, give him the ball early like it's a running play, and let him show you his ability to run after the catch. That's a good call and sets up Utah just outside the 10-yard line.
Six passes by Huntley, 4 targets already for Covey. On the move, it's Britton Covey. They want to get him about 8 to 10 touches at least. He only had 4 touches last week against Washington State.
You know, I think he's still trying to get back to who he was as a player. A 2-year Mormon mission takes you out of your routine. Gaining weight back, getting all the football ability back, usually takes a full year, and he hasn't had a full year back in the program.
Little option. Moss, the cut, and a touchdown for Utah. A silencer by Zach Moss on the road. You said Utah needed Zach Moss.
Yep.
They get him the ball at the right spot.
How about his ability one-on-one to make a guy miss? Frank Bunkum, number 5, comes up to try to get him. Little shake and end zone. That is a huge start for Utah.
With the extra points. Stanford has won 11 straight home games. That's tied for the 3rd longest streak in the country. Yet, the Utah Utes have never lost in Stanford Stadium. 3-0 all time. Listen, man, it's just smart to get ESPN Plus. Stream it all season long. We got college football, college hoops coming up. You're going to want your free trial at ESPNplus.com or download the ESPN app and start your ESPN Plus service. Zach Moss has a touchdown in all 5 Utah games this season. And he's got Utah out in front 7-0 on the road. And Scarlett will take a knee. Offensively, with no Bryce Love, we know where KJ Costello often leans, and that is J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, who has really burst onto the scene this year.
Well, yeah, and they need to get him involved, but I'm sure they're concerned. They don't want to panic and just come out and start throwing the football all over, but they haven't gotten him involved, not even targeting him yet in this ball game. So I'd expect on this series at some point they get the ball to him, but that they also find a way to protect Costello a little bit better.
Got an extra tight end maybe to help protect. And block.
And David Shaw will not deviate from the identity and the mentality of this team, whether Bryce Love is in uniform, on the sideline, or not even in the stadium. They're going to try to run the ball first, and that's what you just saw there in first down with 3 tight ends. Big jumbo set. He will stay stubborn. This is not about Utah. This is about Stanford and who they are as a program.
They've run the ball 7 times already, but just 6 rushing yards thus far for the Cardinal. Boy, right on point, Q. They're sticking with it. And Cody Barton drills Spates. And the rest of the Utes follow suit.
Right, and And now the issue, Rod, is protecting Costello.
Yeah, they're going to need to keep him upright. We're through one. Costello and the Cardinal down at home.
The ESPN app now with ESPN Plus. Get more ESPN and download now.
Start of the second quarter, 3rd and long for Stanford. Down 7-0 to Utah here at home.
They tend to look to Arcega-Whiteside on 3rd down situations like this.
Costello looking for him. Deep and incomplete. Broken up by Julian Blackman, but multiple penalty flags come flying in. And Arcega-Whiteside grimacing a little bit after that play.
Pass interference. Defense number 33. 15 yards from the previous spot. By rule, automatic first down.
I think he meant 23 there,
yeah,
Blackman. Yep.
Now, Blackman has the right to go for the ball, but you can't go through the receiver.
And once the ball is in the air, it's basically 50-50. You're both allowed to go for the ball, but you can't impede one another to do so. So that penalty, which was an issue for Utah a week ago, will give Stanford a fresh set of downs. A blitz from Utah. Costello protected, and he finds his man, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, for a first down.
Well, you know, the blitz gives you single coverage. Costello recognized it right away and looked to his big blanket out there, big security blanket. J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, Mr. Basketball player on the football field.
Senior who was born in Spain, moved to the United States at age 6. A crucial cog, especially with no Bryce Love tonight for Stanford. It's Cameron Scarlett in the backfield with K.J. Costello. Costello has that one deflected. Knocked down by Lecky Fotu. You mentioned J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. His mom, Valerie, a pro hoops player after playing at Appalachian State, was an outstanding player there. And then his dad, Joaquin, born in Spain, fantastic player overseas. And J.J. was a McDonald's All-American candidate in basketball, the South Carolina Player of the Year in football, and 4th in state in the 100-meter dash.
You're saying he was a pretty good athlete.
I think he was a good athlete is what we're trying to bring across tonight. Oh, wow. Scarlett blown up by Chase Hansen. That's the second impactful play by the senior from Highland, Utah.
Hansen is having a night. He is right here. Watch him come completely free here. He just races through, completely missed by Brandon Fanica. He's too quick for him.
He and Fanica, best friends growing up in Utah. In fact, Chase Hansen introduced Brandon's wife to him.
Well, Hansen's got bragging rights now.
And he just beat him on that play, you're right. 3rd and long. Oh, into traffic, and somehow big Caden Smith hung on. Where will they mark him? Javelin Guidry did everything in his power to wrestle him down.
Do you know how frustrating that is? You can't cover a guy any better than that. But he's 6'5", 250 pounds. Watch this. Try getting around it. You're all over him. But you know what? You know what the problem is? Guidry, you got to grow. You can't get it done at 5'9".
They're going for it on 4th down and 1. It's Scarlett to the outside. First down, Stanford. He stepped out of bounds. Got it done up front that time, did David Shaw's unit.
And no, that was all Scarlett. He recognized that there was nothing inside. They blew that play up, and so he slipped to the outside. Good instincts by him, great vision to see that the only way to get it done was to get to the outside.
Costello on the slant. He connects. Trent Irwin. He's got the first down inside the 15, and now they're in the red zone, where Arcega-Whiteside has been the guy for Stanford this year.
He's got those basketball skills. You want to see how good he is? Compare him to Draymond Green of the Golden State Warriors. Post up, down low. Get into that good bend, good body. Keep that defender off. Easy score. That's what he's done.
I knew we were going to have a Golden State Warriors reference tonight. We're in the Bay Area. We have to. On the run, here is Spates. It'll be second down. Arcega-Whiteside, again, just to illustrate to you, they have 10 touchdowns in the red zone this year. 7 times they've gone to Arcega-Whiteside. He's caught all of them, and 6 of them, including that one last week, were touchdowns.
If you're Utah, you think about, can you get help over there? And not when you're on this hash mark like that.
Post up. Looking for Arcega-Whiteside. No flag with Johnson in coverage. Rod, that looked just like the video we just showed. That looked like a post-up.
Yeah, it really was. But Costello was expecting him to be deeper in the corner and had a little bit much on this. This ball is thrown with a little bit more authority than Arcega-Whiteside was expecting. He expected the jump ball. He got the fade thrown to him in the corner.
Stanford looking to convert for the first time on third down. End zone, short. Jalen Johnson with the interception. It's a foot race. And it's a house call for Utah. Utah with the takeaway and the pick six.
Heck of a play by Jalen Johnson out of Central High School in Fresno. He reads this, he sees this right away, and it was a terrible throw by Costello. The idea for him is to get it up high to Arcega-Whiteside and let him make a play. Way too low. Johnson was sitting in a zone, reading it, sees it, and comes up with it, and had nothing but green and wasn't worried about Costello catching it.
5th interception of the year thrown by Costello. And this one, a crucial mistake.
Well, that is a huge momentum swing because if you're Utah, you thought you might be giving up points, and all of a sudden, you got 7 more.
Yep. Matt Gay adds the extra points. The Utah defense getting it done, and the Utes are on top by 2 scores. Jalen Johnson could have played college basketball for a Power 5 team. Made a pretty good read on this play, but this might be a Costello mistake.
Well, he looks out here and he sees press coverage man, but it's not. It's zone. Jalen Johnson bails out of there. Costello misreads it. You see him backpedaling out. He's looking directly at Costello. Reads him the entire time and catches the receiver, catches the ball like he's a receiver, and that's just a misread. Expecting man. Give Morgan Scalley, the defensive coordinator, credit for confusing Costello there.
Longest pick 6 in the country this year. A 100-yard return by Johnson to put Utah up 14-0. Cameron Scarlett with a solid return. We return to the studio in Adnan Virk.
Adam Amin over on ABC. It's Notre Dame and Virginia Tech. Ian Book to Miles Boykin. 6 career receiving touchdowns. 3 of those have come versus the Hokies. LSU loses, so Irish top 5 team, right, boys?
I mean, Rod said so earlier. You think when the rankings come out, I mean, you got to put Notre Dame at 4. You've been saying it for 2 weeks. Yeah, I'll give you credit on that.
Come on, catch up, people.
I mean, we saw what Notre Dame did last week to this Stanford team. And Bryce Love was in the game for most of that game. Their defense blew up Stanford's O-line, and their offense really got going in the second half. Here is Scarlett. Good cutback. And a good run, Q.
KJ Costello, Stanford quarterback, is known for his fire and his passion. After that last pick six, took his water jug and slammed it on the ground, water everywhere. Teammates were trying to console him. He has got to be even-keeled here coming off that mistake.
You're right, Q. And Tavita Pritchard, the offensive coordinator, told us that yesterday. He needs his quarterback to harness that passion and intensity.
Costello rifles one, and a beautiful catch is made by Colby Parkinson. We'll check the penalty marker. The sophomore tight end with the grab there.
Holding defense. That penalty is declined. Result of the play is first down.
You'd say, Mr. Official, what would you like for me to do? He is 6'7". He is a big guy. I'm not going to just stand there. I mean, I'm only 6'2". If you're talking about 6'2", 6'3", you're talking about Ballard trying to measure up with a 6'7" tight end.
Just another one of those big dudes on the outside for Stanford. The traffic in the pocket, and Costello rifles one to Irwin. Into the red zone again, Stanford.
It started with Stanford's offensive line picking up the blitz. You know, Hansen comes flying inside as part of this blitz. Watch 22 as he jumps over and gets picked off by Spates. Costello was able to make enough time there to find Irwin, and Stanford's in business again. This is once again Arcega-Whiteside territory, but are you a little gun shy if you're Costello?
Spates. Q, I'd be curious, you were mentioning to us how important it is for Costello to be upright. Do you think Stanford's been better the last couple of plays on this series?
Well, if they give him time, I think he's fine. Remember, the issue against Notre Dame was he had an average of 2.5 seconds. He was under assault, sacked 5 times, hurried 4 times. If they allow him to see the field, allow him to work through his progressions, I think he's going to be okay.
Well, let's see how he reads Arcega-Whiteside up top. Can Utah fool him again?
Costello goes to the other side, looking for one of those big tight ends in Parkinson. Good coverage by Julian Blackman.
Yeah, he's leaving the ball short that allows Blackman to make a play. That ball is supposed to be higher and deeper to take advantage of your 6'7" tight end, Parkinson. And Arcega-Whiteside was on the other side. Let's see if they go to the well once more. They've been burned. 100 yards and a pick 6.
Arcega-Whiteside at the top of the formation. Blitz from Utah. No time for Costello, who flung it into the hands of a Utah defender. Hawadi Pututau with the pick will check the flag.
Yeah, but Cody Barton made that play. Barton came flying in. No one picked him up. And Costello...
Personal foul, chop block. Included number 23 of the offense. That penalty is declined. Result of the play is first down, Utah.
Pututau with the first pick of his career. A ton of pressure from Utah up front once again. Second thrown by Costello. Q and Rod talked about it. The heat and the pick.
ESPN College Football, brought to you by Firestone. Whatever you drive, drive a Firestone.
Kyle Whittingham has helmed this Utah program since taking over for Urban Meyer. Told me earlier today, we're not on schedule with takeaways yet. He's got to feel pretty good about 2 in the red zone so far tonight.
And has to be happy with the way they have stoned Stanford's rushing attack.
Defense has been solid so far. Ooh, what a shot. That was a hard hit on Ciosi Mariner from Frank Buncombe, and flags come flying in from all directions. There's going to be a couple of things for Steven Strimling and this crew to sort out on this play.
Yeah, I wonder what the call is, because I didn't see Buncombe lower his head.
There are 2 fouls on the play. Ineligible receiver downfield on the offense, number 79. Personal foul targeting, defense number 5. The penalty of targeting is under review.
Well, it was good to see Frank Buncombe go over to Mariner, make sure to let him know, hey, didn't mean anything by it, just a physical play here.
Well, he didn't lower his head. Wow.
This will be interesting after review.
Yeah, I think that may be coming off.
We'll step aside. The replay booth will give us the answer when you come back. Frank Buncombe stays in the game. No targeting on the previous play. I think this is the right call.
Yeah, the contact is initiated by the receiver lowering his head. Buncombe simply comes in to try to wrap up and make a tackle. Good job by replay, wiping that one off.
There was no forcible contact with the crown of the helmet. There was no forcible contact to the head or neck area of the defenseless player. It is 1st and 15 because of the Jordan Angasiva penalty for ineligible man downfield. So that's why Utah had to start behind the chains.
Well, the good news for Utah offensively is that with a 14-point lead, they can stay with this rhythm.
Yeah.
Kyle Whittingham said they want to get to their identity, and their identity, they put it on display. It is running Moss, and it is the RPO game and short passes with Hundley. There is no reason for them to deviate from that, even though they're 2nd and long.
Oh, blitz off the edge, and Huntley smartly finds his safety valve. Britton Covey has the first down. Gabe Reed was not messing around. He was coming in hot.
That's a tough matchup when you're trying to get that guy. But watch the pressure from the outside. He's completely free. And a good job by Hundley just finding his safety valve. Covey, and a little bit of yak 2 yards after the catch.
19 on that catch. Huntley firing it to midfield for the catch. Grabbed by Damari Simpkins.
How high is Huntley's confidence right now?
You made a great point on the last series, maybe a couple of series ago. A lot of short stuff.
Yep.
Get him into a flow.
Yep.
Seems like that has continued.
Yeah, I don't think his mom is going to have very much to say to him. Nothing critical anyway.
I wonder if he's worried on, if he has a bad day. Oh man, I got to talk to my mom about this. To the edge, it's Moss, right at the sticks.
Rod, have all the throws been short or over the middle? Has he thrown the ball outside the numbers or downfield yet in this game?
Not outside the numbers, Q, but he's had a couple of short, quick outside throws. But most things have been of the slant and the quick, quick screen variety. He hasn't really had to let one go yet. And he won't have to at this rate. They've controlled the clock. They've controlled the line of scrimmage. Only one pass over 10 yards.
And Moss, trying to get that elusive yard, does so to move the chains. $25 to 30 touches. That's what they want for Zach Moss.
Yeah. And that's really their identity. That and some quarterback run game and short passes. And there you have it. And right now, this is the time you would expect Stanford to dial up the pressure. And if they dial up the pressure, that should be Covey time if you're Utah.
Shine. That's a good run on first out. Good block off the edge by the tight end Fotheringham. This is a big game for the Utah Utes. They had to go through a pretty good gauntlet to start Pac-12 play. You get Washington and then Washington State, granted with a bye in between. Then you have to play on the road at Stanford. Haven't even played a Pac-12 South opponent yet.
Well, and keep in mind that they've gotten a lot of criticism for the lack of offense the last few weeks. At some point, you get tired of hearing that stuff.
Yeah, understand. That's Orlando Umana, who made the start tonight at center because Lo Falamaka, who is a veteran guy, did not dress for the game tonight. Umana shifting over to center. Now he is coming off the field. Utah's front getting a little thinner. Getting into week 5 of the NFL season, and Sunday NFL Countdown starts it up at 10 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow, right into Monday Night Football. Former Utah quarterback Alex Smith manning the Redskins as they take on the Saints from loud Mercedes-Benz Superdome. Another run for Utah. It's Shine close to the sticks. Up front, Utah has to do a little bit of shifting now with Orlando Umana coming off the field. Nick Ford playing his third different position, taking some snaps now at center.
Wouldn't you take a shot right now?
It's 3rd and 1.
Yep.
You're inside the 35. Don't they call this area of the field like shot position for this down and distance?
This is the place to take your shot, and you got a single high safety. You're probably looking at some sort of man coverage. This is when Utah should take that shot.
Oh, movement. This is going to go against Utah.
False start. Offense number 89. 5-yard penalty. Remains 3rd down.
That's bothering him, the true freshman tight end. They go back to Orlando Umana now. He comes back in for Utah. Nick Ford went back to the bench. Umana, their sophomore, making his 4th straight start. There is Lo Falamaka, the senior who is out tonight.
The Stanford double right there. That's Covey.
They go to the other side for Grant Keithy, and he is short of the line to gain.
He actually had it at one point. And then after he took a hit, he regained his balance and tried to get around outside, and that cost him. I think it probably cost him the 1st down. It did.
Now they have the offense out there, and this is kind of what you were talking about. Let's say you go for that shot, you don't have the penalty on 3rd down.
Right.
Now this is the situation you would have been in if you had an incomplete pass.
Right.
Handoff. 1st down. Zach Moss. Forget the 1st down. It's a touchdown. And Utah is rolling out west.
Adam, when you cut off linebackers, as you do here, you're going to give yourself a chance for a big play. Look at how they get out there. They cut off linebackers. There is no way to get any pursuit to stop that from going the distance.
Low snap. Well handled by Wisnowski. 21-0. We're back at 30. Zach Moss gives Utah a 21-0 lead. ESPN College Football presented to you by Geico. Q, Rod, I gotta ask. Last 2 weeks, David Shaw's team goes on the road to Autzen. Emotional win to come all the way back. Last week, you have to go to South Bend against a physical Notre Dame team. I gotta wonder if it's taking its toll a little bit.
Well, maybe, but the thing that's really taken the toll is Utah's offensive line and defensive line. They are a little bit more physical and punching Stanford pretty darn good right now.
Here's Scarlett. Across the 20 as we check in with Adnan Virk.
All right, Adam, thank you very much. Coming up on our halftime report, the SEC ranked team struggling on the road of Notre Dame Fighting Irish poised to jump up. We heard our man Rod saying they're a top 4 team right now. Plus, we'll also look at a Red River statement. An amazing win for Texas against Oklahoma. Join me, Jesse Palmer, and Joey Galloway at the half. Adam, back to you.
Wouldn't be anywhere else in a few minutes, pal. Q, I got Rod's take. You're down on the field. How do you see the physicality playing out right now?
That's exactly the word I was going to use. Utah's D-line holding their own. Utah's offensive line clearly winning. They are out-Stanfording Stanford.
Now Costello back to work. underneath to Smith on first down.
They're not the same team when you take Bryce Love away. Look at the offense tonight. 2 picks, not many yards rushing. Maybe Costello trying to do too much to replace the loss of Love.
On the slant, Arcega-Whiteside holds on for the first down at the 35. If you're just joining us, Bryce Love, game time decision, left ankle injury last week, had to leave the game against Notre Dame. David Shaw had a conversation with him before the game. They opted not to play him tonight. Well, that was thrown into dangerous territory for Parkinson. Corian Ballard knocked it down, and it's second down.
Yeah, he's been short on his throws, Costello has.
Yeah.
That was simply a 4 vertical route. Everybody go deep. And he was not under pressure, but he was still short, underthrowing that.
He's 9 of 16. Got off to a slow start last week before he began to heat up against Notre Dame as well. Oh, Trenton Irwin makes the grab in traffic. He's got the first down to the 46.
He has such great hands and runs such great routes. He's carried himself like a professional receiver since the first day he stepped on campus.
They use the word elite to describe his route running. Good protection this time, and he finds Spates. Picks up about 8 yards.
Utah has been heating Costello up at this point on the field. Do they bring 5 again now? They've had success with it.
Here it comes. Utah blitz. Good protection for Costello. And he overthrows Arcega-Whiteside with Johnson all over him.
Good job by Johnson. Gets his hands on, then gets it off. That's a mutual combat. That's a good no call.
We're expecting a physical game on the outside. Well, you know what? We're expecting a physical game. Let's just leave it at that tonight, all right?
All over the field.
Yeah. 3rd down and 2. Costello tries to fire the slant. Knocked down by Nick Henniger. Redshirt sophomore, former walk-on, now on scholarship.
What do you do if you're David Shaw? 1:14 to go. You got a 4th down here. Do you kick it?
They have not converted a 3rd down yet. 0 for 6. Now you got to face 4th and short.
Yeah, he's taking the time to think about it. Told his team to huddle up.
Maybe timeout here.
He might go there. If you've got a play that you're really, really confident about, you might take the chance, but he doesn't want to put his defense in harm's way again.
First charge timeout of the half, Stanford. 30 seconds in light.
We'll step aside for 30 seconds while David Shaw and KJ Costello talk it over. KJ Costello and the Stanford offense still out there for 4th down and short. Down 21-0 going for it here. Utah gets the ball to start the second half. Arcega-Whiteside holds on. First down into field goal range. Beat Julian Blackman there.
Well, that's the guy who will make plays, and it's get the ball up, and Costello has struggled on those little stop routes, throwing the ball short. This time he gets it up high enough so that Arcega-Whiteside can make the catch.
When he needs a play, Arcega-Whiteside is often there. Costello has a man, and it's caught. Trenton Irwin inside the 5. 1st and goal, Cardinal.
It was a double move by Irwin. He was covered by Johnson. Johnson bought on the pump fake, and Irwin blew by him.
Spates chopped down by Ballard.
Yeah, this ball was actually a little bit underthrown. Irwin has to wait for it, or else he's in the end zone. But there was a double move to get behind Johnson to set up this situation.
Back to Spates. Spinning in. Touchdown, Stanford. First career Spates score. And it's a big one.
Yeah, and how about a little sign of life by the Stanford offensive line? Watch A.T. Hall on the right side, number 75. Look at him turn his guy inside, creating a huge space for Spate to get in there for the touchdown.
Jet Toner adds the extra point. Trevor Spates with no Bryce Love tonight, trying to step it up.
And the key on that drive was the fourth down decision by David Shaw and the big catch by J.J. Arcega-Whiteside.
Able to convert on fourth down. I know there's a lot of games going on right now. Notre Dame, Virginia Tech was coming close to a finish, so you might be flipping around. No Bryce Love tonight for David Shaw. 2 red zone interceptions by K.J. Costello, including a 100-yard pick six. They were up 21-0 before that last drive where David Shaw went for it on fourth down, and eventually they capped it on the ground without Bryce Love.
Yeah, it's been the Utah defense, and as you mentioned, the red zone mistakes by Costello. He's not thrown the ball well in the red zone. Both of the picks down there were really the result of poor throws, leaving it short. And one was a misread of coverage he thought was man-to-man. It was zone, and he threw it right to the defensive back Johnson, who goes 100 yards.
Utah still has all 3 timeouts. We just saw a little bit of life infused into Stanford Stadium. This season, Taco Bell is celebrating student sections and passionate fans like these by awarding the best student section of the year. The Stanford Cardinal student section is already on the national watch list. You go to ESPN.com/Taco Bell to see how your school can compete.
Did you tell me you were trying to start this thing, or maybe I was trying to start this thing, where we make sure that students get free tickets?
I feel like if
I started it.
If people guessed,
okay.
Who do you think they said? Who do you think would have said that?
I'm just saying. You would think tuition would be enough, right? Get the tickets on top of that.
I remember Q saying, "What? The tuition check's not enough." Let's see how aggressive Utah is here. It's Moss.
Now this is the right move by Kyle Whittingham. That first half was essentially perfect for Utah. You got your quarterback confident. You played offense to your style, your identities, and your defense really threw a no-hitter up until that last drive.
Yep.
Thank you.
When we talk about the South in the Pac-12, it's so wide open. Kyle Whittingham even said we could see a 2-loss team as the Pac-12 South champion this year. Utah is the only team, and granted they've only been in the league now for 7 seasons, but Utah the only team that has not been to a Pac-12 championship game out of the South. Remember, Colorado went 2 years ago.
Yeah.
They entered the same time.
Well, and that's put a lot more pressure on Utah. I mean, it's sort of like, well, Colorado got it done. Why hasn't Utah gotten it done? And, you know, Utah fans are ready. They're waiting.
Another good run by Moss. He's got a first down to the 38.
Second charge
And a timeout used here by Utah.
30 seconds in length.
Remember what Q said earlier. These are 2 of the better special teams units in the country, so they could be playing for a field goal here as well with the excellent kicker in Matt Gay.
Yeah, but you know what? There's one concern you have
What you got?
if you're Utah. You really haven't thrown the ball down the field. You haven't had to do that, and your quarterback has excelled in the RPO game and the short passing game. Great first half.
Yeah.
Do you want to take a chance and in the half with a mistake after he's played so well, with low percentages of getting there.
Okay, fair.
I don't think that's the way Whittingham would go right here. I think he's content to go into the half 21-7.
Well, they keep using the timeouts, but I think now they've got one shot to get downfield. They've got a man, and it's Dixon. Incomplete, but a flag is thrown. Paulson Adebo with the coverage. Utah's been looking for a deep threat, and Jalen Dixon, who's been averaging over 30 yards a catch, could be that guy.
Interference, defense number 11, 15 yards from the previous spot, automatic first down.
Well, look at David Shaw's reaction. Let me ask the defensive back in the booth.
I think Shaw thought the ball was not catchable, and that it was the receiver who slowed down to initiate contact, and there should have been a no call. You can see why the official call. I don't have a problem with the call.
In terms of field goal range here, an out pattern, 10 or so more yards, and you've got a chance.
Q, you said it. Matt Gay is one of the best kickers in the country. Here it is. They get the out, and Brant Keithy puts them into field goal range at the end of the half. Matt Gay, the Lou Groza Award winner last year.
This is well within his range.
Absolutely. His career long is 56. He's 5 of 6 from 50 plus in his career. This will be at the cusp, 48 yards. Matt Gay, you got it.
That thing was a sonic boom the way it came off his foot.
Q, you said it to me in pregame warm-ups. It sounds and looks different off of his foot. 24-7 Utah on top, and they get the ball to start the second half. Halftime report with Adnan, Joey, and Jesse after this. Welcome back to ESPN College Football presented by Geico. You're watching the Pac-12 on ESPN. Utah on the road. Impressive so far with a 17-point lead. Interesting day in college football with a lot of comebacks in big games. We'll see if David Shaw can overcome the largest halftime home deficit that he has faced in his tenure as Stanford coach. Adam Amin, Rod Gilmore, Quint Kesnick. We know Bryce Love is out, but let's give some credit to the Utah defense. They've been fantastic so far.
They've been the stars of this ball game. That defense for Utah has stepped up and made huge plays. Think about red zone, getting it done. How about Johnson stepping in front of an underthrown ball, pick six, 100 yards, and then come right back again. Red zone. How about Pututau? He picks off this one, denying Stanford points in the red zone. And it's not just about the defense. How about Zach Moss? 76 yards, a couple touchdowns. That identity they were looking for in offense, they got.
Part of our player spotlight brought to us by John Deere. Utah trying to get its first Pac-12 win of the season with an excellent opening 30 minutes, and they get the ball to start the second half. Out to the 25-yard line as we check in with Quint Kesnick.
Keep in mind, Adam, Stanford trailed Oregon by this exact score, 24-7, and came back and won that ball game. I spoke with David Shaw walking out of the tunnel. Two things stood out. Their inability to capitalize in the red zone, that's obvious. But defensively, that's where his focus lied. We've got to stop the run, and we've got to cover the slot receiver. Those are the two things specifically that he pointed out. How they stop the run remains to be seen, and how they cover Britton Covey remains to be seen.
You and Rod pointed out Britton Covey's contributions multiple times in that opening half. Nothing there from Moss, as Q alluded to. There's a start on the defensive end.
Well, the start was that you had Jordan Fox, the outside linebacker, set the edge and force the ball back inside, which allowed Bobby Okereke to come in and make the play. But that was all about what number 10 did on the edge. And now with the 2nd and 10, you think about the confident quarterback he had. Don't put him in a bad spot because he's brimming with confidence.
Q, was that just a bunch of cut blocks by Utah just then as they complete the pass to Enos?
Yeah, they cut to try to get the linemen off their feet to create a passing lane for Huntley.
Good recovery by Dylan Jackson. He almost got a fingertip on it, but Utah went a little triple option Georgia Tech right there for the Blacks.
And how do you cover 18, Covey? They've got him stacked right now to avoid man coverage.
And guess where Huntley's going? First down, Britton Covey. Q-Rod, you pointed it out, sure enough, right there.
Yeah, how about Huntley, though? He was looking off to his left, great patience, and he's waiting for Covey. And there he is. Covey finding the spot, and Huntley finding Covey. I tell you, the confidence that quarterback has right now, probably never felt better this season.
The 43. Moss with a good run. Britton Covey, you mentioned it. Freshman All-American in 2015. Then goes on the 2-year mission to Chile. And returned this season. Now he's a sophomore. Moss pounds ahead, close to the sticks.
It's not like he is surprising Stanford, because Lance Anderson, their defensive coordinator, specifically told us at times we're going to put 2 men on him to kind of bracket him. He likes to run option routes. That is reading the defense. I haven't seen much of that route.
Nope. Q, none of it. We've not seen Covey doubled at all.
At what point do you double them? I think might be the question that Lance Anderson asks. Jordan Fox, good penetration for Stanford to knock down shot.
Yeah, he's got a good start to the third quarter, setting the edge on one play and coming from the backside. Again, you think, does Stanford start to find a rhythm defensively? We haven't seen, as Q mentioned, double coverage on Covey. We haven't seen a lot of pressure either.
Covey back out there in the slot. There's Covey. And he'll set up a much more manageable third down at about 3.
Well, they're making it pretty easy for Covey. I mean, if you're going to double him or you're going to affect him, somebody should be up there and have their hands on him, or you got to have your linebackers flying out to him. If he's the most dangerous guy, you should be paying attention to him. But again, Utah's basically said, you're not going to do anything about it?
All right.
We're going to keep going there.
Okay.
So good for Troy Taylor for recognizing it and milking it.
How about Zach Moss putting his head down, burrowing over Sean Barton to move the chains.
This front for Utah right now is still more physical than Stanford's defensive front.
You just wonder the physical toll that the last couple of games have taken on this Stanford unit. Huntley launches for Simpkins, out of bounds. Second down for Utah. Used Covey as a decoy that time. Huntley hit hard. Good attack by Bobby Okereke.
You know, you made the comment about body blows Stanford has absorbed. As you see this counter and Stanford steps up to kind of do a good job on this one. Keep in mind, you know, Stanford started classes last week and players returned or made it to their dorms for the first time because of the quarter system and traveled back to South Bend. I thought that made sense for seeing why they might have a tough time in South Bend, but that has nothing to do with tonight. This is getting beat up at the line of scrimmage.
Rod, they brought some heat that time. Moss made the catch. Okereke did a nice job of rallying to the football there to bring up 4th down. That's now 8 tackles for Bobby Okereke.
And here comes the guy with the golden leg. And that kick he made right before halftime sounded like something exploded.
Made 30 field goals last year as the Lou Groza winner, a Pac-12 record. He's made from 48 already. And it just sounds a little different. Like a great batter at the plate when he makes clean contact. Matt Gay puts Utah up 20.
Back in Palo Alto, Stanford, Utah, you expect a physical game, and that's what we got. And a lot of it, that physicality has been won by Utah. See one more big one here with Stanford on that end, but it has been primarily Utah dishing it out. Stanford's finally starting to measure up with some physical defense to start the 3rd quarter. Still 3 more points added by Utah, 27-7.
The expectation that we came in with tonight, it has been a physical game. As these two teams are meeting for the 4th time as Pac-12 foes. It's always been physical. Scarlett across the 20. Well, things getting a little chippy. No surprise, we were just talking about the physicality. Sure enough, good job by the officials to get in between. The Sunday NFL countdown back up and going at 10 a.m. Eastern time, getting you set for week 5 of the NFL season. 10 a.m. Sam Ponder and the crew will get you going on ESPN and the ESPN app. And then Alex Smith, the former Utes quarterback, handling it for the Washington Redskins against Drew Brees, closing in on his 500th career touchdown pass. Joe Tessitore, Jason Witten, Booger McFarland, Lisa Salters on the call about the great career that Alex Smith had at Utah. Those 3 seasons where this offense was humming under Urban Meyer and then Kyle Whittingham. What will Stanford do offensively? We know their identity is ground and pound and beat you up, but no All-American tonight. No Heisman candidate on the field. Bryce Love out tonight with the left ankle injury. Stanford, in turn, has ran for just 27 yards thus far.
Well, they need better play from Costello, who would tell you himself he's not had a good night.
Slings one low, incomplete from Michael Wilson. 3rd and 6.
And Stanford has struggled in pass protection, but when they've given Costello time, he's had a little bit of trouble, particularly in the red zone.
Sure.
His throws have been a little bit short. Now, that might be the fact that he's been hit a lot the last couple of weeks. But what they need now is for him to start making those plays that they expect, particularly when you think about matchups with your tight ends.
A couple of tight ends in this formation. Finds Irwin near the sticks. Flag thrown from the far side of the field.
Holding, defense number 1. 10-yard penalty. By rule, automatic 1st down.
So, a little bit of a break there.
But, you know, you can be aggressive if you're Utah defensively. You haven't had many calls, and you're dealing with these big receivers and big tight ends. You're up by 20 points. Go ahead and take the chance. And there's nothing wrong with Jalen Johnson taking a chance there in a 3rd down. No real big loss.
Is that a conversation you have with your secondary coach? Hey, guys, we're up 3 scores. Why don't we get a little aggressive?
You just know, man.
You just know.
You just know.
Costello with time, and another man. going to the big targets. Caden Smith, 6'5" tight end.
Well, those are the guys that will help Stanford get back into the ball game in the passing area. Caden Smith at 6'5", Kobe Parkinson, number 84 at 6'7". Those are matchup issues for Utah, but they only work if Costello has time.
Yeah, and he did a great job there, sliding to his left, maintaining solid footwork and delivering a strike. That was an excellent play by Costello in a pocket that was collapsing.
Utah bringing pressure. Costello with time, and a deep shot, incomplete. Osiris St. Brown, the sophomore, a big play threat, couldn't hang on.
And he put the ball there. Brown couldn't come up with it, but this is normally a catchable ball for him. The redshirt freshman is incredibly fast, and he got behind Guidry. And yeah, he says, yeah, I should have had that one.
Yeah, that's going to eat at Osiris. Averaging 29 yards a catch this year.
And as we've seen all night, this is the area where the pressure comes from Utah.
Costello connects. First down to J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. How many times have Stanford fans said, oh, look, J.J.'s there for a first down?
Yeah, these defenders are all over these receivers. There's not a whole lot of room to get that ball in there. Look at that.
That's a tight window throw.
Yeah.
But, as you mentioned, a little bit of time for K.J. Costello on that toss. Down the middle. And Caden Smith hangs on.
These are just great catches. Donovan Thompson on the coverage. There is not a lot of room. Tight end down the seam here behind the linebacker. And what do? Put that ball up high, let him go get it. You're starting to get a sense that Costello is finding his groove.
Like you called with Huntley earlier.
Yep.
Once he got into that flow. Caden Smith, one of the top targets now.
A lot of room down here. A lot of room for that big target. He's been their main man all season in the red zone. That's Arcega-Whiteside.
He's guarded by Julian Blackman. Scarlett. Down to about the 5. This is where you feel like Stanford can take advantage tonight. Look at the size. Now, I know not all these guys are available, but just the size of this receiving corps.
Yeah, it really is something that works for them, but they haven't been able to do it in the red zone tonight because Costello has left the ball short. You got a guy who's 6'7", throw that ball 7 feet high. He's had it too low for him.
Couple of tight ends in there. Spates. Down to about the 1. Crucial play on 3rd and goal coming up. Say they don't get it. Do you go for it on 4th and goal here too?
Yeah, I think so. You know, Stanford's offensive line criticized the last couple of weeks, much of the season actually, and David Shaw challenged them on Monday. He said, the standard here for our offensive line is not being met. You guys have got to uphold it. And this is where you would normally say, all right, go get them, guys. We'll see if they're getting that confidence back.
Cameron Scarlett into the end zone. Touchdown, Cardinal.
The right side wins. They get lower than the Utah left side, and it's an easy dive over for Scarlett. But that's another sign that Stanford's offensive line starting to come back around after having what is best described as a mediocre or awful first half.
And you've always told me, low man wins.
Low man wins.
A couple of low guys on the right side of that offensive line for the Cardinals. Jeff Toner with the extra point. And the lead down to 13 here in Stanford, California. Second touchdown of the year for Cameron Scarlett. Without Love, he and Spates have both scored.
ESPN College Football, brought to you by Burger King. Mix or match 2 of your favorites, including all new crispy chicken tenders for just $6.
They've gone to 9 straight bowl games, the longest streak in the Pac-12. 3 Pac-12 titles, 3 Rose Bowl appearances for David Shaw.
But never has he been down by this much at home.
At halftime, they were down 27-7 at halftime. Stanford comes out with a touchdown on the last series. Beg your pardon, 24-7. It's a 17-point advantage at halftime. Bailey with the touchback kick. The Stanford offense just scored, but the Utah offense has been rolling. A couple of touchdowns, a couple of field goals the last 4 series for Utah.
It hasn't just been the rushing attack. Britton Covey has kept almost, half a dozen drives alive for the Utah offense. Little pass plays to the outside, little option plays, little crossing routes, and Stanford has not come up with an answer for him, and he's been instrumental in those 4 straight scoring drives you talked about, just getting that key catch to keep the ball in Utah's hands.
The Utes start from the 25 with Huntley. The Q's called for it a couple of times. How will they defend Covey on this series going forward? ESPN basketball, a love story, an unprecedented 20-hour film consisting of more than 60 short stories will be seen the next 4 Tuesdays starting next week, Tuesday at 7 and 9 Eastern on ESPN and the ESPN app. Interviews with Diana Taurasi, LeBron James, Magic Johnson, the who's who of basketball. Down goes Huntley, and Gabe Reed, firing off the edge for the Cardinal, has the sack.
Well, Gabe Reed runs a stunt. You see it there. He comes from the outside to the inside. They can't pick him up, and that is the first sack of the night for Stanford.
And that's the second sack of Reed's career. Third down. They set up the screen for Moss. It was incomplete, and that got blown up by the Stanford line.
Joe Von Swan and Dylan Jackson. The screenplay was supposed to allow them in, but they came in at warp speed and threw off the timing.
Number 2 for Stanford is reported as number 38.
Ooh, that got close to Wisnowski there. He still somehow got it across the field inside the 30. The Ray Guy Award winner of 2 years ago, the senior out of Perth, Australia. Finally, though, a little bit of life from the Stanford defense these last couple of series.
Well, in that last drive, when the offense was out for Stanford, we saw Costello kind of return to the form he's had most of the season. They protected for him, and he made some incredibly great throws when guys were completely covered, but still put it where only his guy could catch it. So, and he's going to need more of that, because Stanford's not going to get back in or win this game running the football. Utah has pretty much taken away the rushing attack.
Just 35 rushing yards for Stanford in this game. Scarlett, not much room there. Good penetration by Lecky Fotu. And this is going to rest on KJ Costello, the passionate, fiery quarterback for the Stanford Cardinal. Look at what David Shaw said about him. There's no doubt in his mind about anything, even when he's wrong. That's a great quote.
Yeah.
It tells you a lot about KJ.
Yeah, I think he might concede he was wrong on the pick six
Sure.
for 100 yards in the first half, but he knows how to throw that ball.
Arcega-Whiteside, incomplete. 3rd and 9. You saw Costello early in his career. Your thoughts on him then, your thoughts on him now?
Well, as a true freshman, first time I saw him practice, I thought he was the best quarterback on the roster. Athletic, he had this swagger about him, and more mobile than any other quarterback Stanford had at the time. And it was clear to me it was just a matter of time before he took over. But it takes a while to learn the offense. He was not a candidate to play as a freshman.
Stepping up in the pocket and delivering on target to J.J. Arcega-Whiteside.
How about the pocket presence of Costello? Feeling the pressure, sliding around to find a window. Watch him here. Initially, he's got good protection. He feels the pressure, slides, and delivers a dart to Arcega-Whiteside.
The high school All-American K.J. Costello broke all of Carson Palmer's passing records at Santa Margarita High School in California. Had an opportunity to follow in Palmer's footsteps to USC. Could have went to Michigan. No, he chose the Stanford Cardinal. How about the spin by Spates to get the first down to the Utah 41?
That is one of the few times we've seen Utah miss tackles. Spates keeps his feet alive, and there is a missed tackle right in the middle by Bernard. And Spates takes advantage of it. And Stanford's sort of gotten into a rhythm of running the ball on first down, and you'll see Utah fire their linebackers. They're attacking on first down. See if David Shaw and company switch it up here.
Yeah, they do. Throwing on first down. And Costello with a bullet looking for Caden Smith. And the penalty marker is thrown. Corian Ballard, the safety, was in coverage.
Yeah, again, you're trying your best, but you're on a big old body tight end. And Ballard's got his hands on him. It's a good call.
Pass interference. Defense number 15. 15-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
And you're trying to work against a 6'5", 250-pound tight end, and this ball is thrown back shoulder for him to come over and make that play. But again, Ballard's hooked up with him, trying to slow him down because he's so big.
Fresh set of downs at the 26. Costello, wide open man. Touchdown Stanford. Michael Wilson with the first touchdown of his career.
What a beautifully thrown ball. Wilson got behind Blackman to the outside, and that ball was right on target. It seemed like Blackman, not having seen Wilson often in the game, only out there for blocking purposes, they make him the primary on this, and Blackman did not expect it.
Michael Wilson in his opening 5 games had 1 catch. Costello finds him for his first career touchdown. We're back at 30. Today's been a weird day. Oklahoma almost came back. We've had a couple of comebacks in college football today. Stanford with a 21-0 deficit back in 1999 against USC. They came all the way back. Tonight they trailed 24-7 at halftime, 27-7 early in this second half. They've scored the last 14 points in just over 3 minutes. Britton Covey will take the touchback.
Adam, I want to take you back to that touchdown play. Now watch the matchup you have here. Here's Wilson. He's locked up with Blackman. Blackman, after about 3 steps, kind of peeks into the backfield. Watch the peek, loses sight of Wilson, and Wilson's wide open. Q, how about that?
A critical drive right now, because for the first time today, Stanford is playing with energy. They're playing with fire, some bounce, and Utah is starting to doubt themselves.
And KJ Costello right in the thick of things with the rest of that offense. He's their passionate captain of this offense, trying to fire them up. Michael Wilson, 1 catch in his career until tonight. The second of his college career is a big touchdown for Stanford.
And if you're Utah and you're thinking you've got to put the ball in the air, they have yet to cover 18 in motion there.
Huntley on the move, looking for Samson Nakua, and he's got the catch out across the 40.
A little footwork along the sideline.
That would have been good on Sundays.
Yep, that's good.
Redshirt sophomore out of Provo, Utah. I remember seeing his brother, a great defensive back at BYU, Kai Nakua. Sampson picks up 13 there. Big burst. There goes Moss. And finally brought down by Alameen Murphy in Stanford territory at the 37. 21 for Moss on that run.
Just watch the way the linemen hunt linebackers. See him get out on the linebackers and just take away any opportunity for a short tackle there.
And they go right back to Moss. It feels like 2 offenses trying to impose their will in this game, right? Does it have that feel to it?
Yeah, it does, but it really feels like Utah has been more consistent, particularly with their offensive line. They are still pushing Stanford off the ball when they have to.
That's the end of the 3rd quarter.
But to close your Saturday, we bring you the gift of a game. It was all Utah early in this evening, but KJ Costello, Cameron Scarlett, Michael Wilson, all getting it done to get Stanford a win in 6.
ESPN, home of the college football playoff.
Of course, the national championship game just down the road in Santa Clara this year. First down, Armand Shine, still on his feet for Utah, down inside the 25-yard line. Adam Amin, Rod Gilmore, Quint Kesnick back with you in Stanford, California. A look at our college football rankings brought to us by Capital One. A couple of top 10 teams, few of them in fact, suffered losses today. And there is Washington with another victory.
Only one Pac-12 team, but I'm saying Notre Dame ought to be number 2 in the country.
How about that? Better than Georgia, Clemson?
Yep.
They've got 2 really quality wins. There's Covey. I mean, I think a lot of people were really impressed by what they saw last week against Notre Dame. You're a month in. You got a big-time rushing attack coming in Stanford last week. Notre Dame was impressive.
How many impressive wins do they have to have before people say enough of this already? They ought to be in the top 4, top 3. You know, you beat Michigan, you beat Stanford, you go on the road, you get Virginia Tech. I mean, seriously? How many do you need?
Yeah. Georgia and Clemson both with blowout wins today over Vanderbilt and Wake Forest. Here, 27-21, early 4th. 2nd and 2 for Huntley and the Utes. Moss swallowed up. The penetration by Swan and the finish from this Stanford defense.
Big third down. If you are Utah, you know you've got 3 points in your back pocket. Expect Stanford to bring the pressure.
Potential quarterback run from a guy who can scramble. He's a true dual threat. He hasn't run it much, but this may be a good time for it.
I agree, Q. You've got that 3 points. No need to risk putting it up here.
Play fake. Underneath. Keithy. Short. What a job by Elijah Holder to run down Keithy. 4th down.
We're ready to hear that sound again off the foot.
And it's a big one here because a field goal make by Matt Gay makes this a 2-score game.
Yeah, and he's got one heck of a leg.
Well within his range. No problem. And it's a 2-score lead for Utah. Settling things down here in Stanford. Jalen Johnson, the sophomore from Fresno, California, responsible for King of the Moment, brought to us by Burger King.
Yeah, he comes up with a huge play here. You'll see him jump in front of Arcega-Whiteside, and 100 yards later, he's denied Stanford points, picked up points for Utah, and changed the momentum of this game way back in the first half.
All part of a 21-0 start for Utah tonight. They currently lead by 9 in the 4th. A reminder for you, if you truly love basketball, this is a great documentary for you to watch. An unprecedented 20-hour film, more than 60 short stories, basketball, a love story. ESPN starting up Tuesday night at 7 and 9 Eastern. Also available on the ESPN app on the next 4 Tuesdays.
You've seen some of the names of the folks involved with that, and you know, the little clips.
The who's who. It's the who's who of basketball history. It's going to be awesome. Big field goal by Matt Gay just now to make it a 9-point lead. It's a 2-possession game, but a lot of time left here at Stanford Stadium. Spates wrapped up by Francis Bernard. Again, no Bryce Love tonight for Stanford. Game time decision. David Shaw said that there was no reason to push him tonight. They want him to be healthy with a bye week coming and then a Thursday night game on the road at Arizona State. So Bryce Love out tonight with the left ankle issue. Blitz. Good pickup. Irwin complete. 1st down. This is a crucial game for the Stanford Cardinal as well. We talked about Utah trying to get that first win in the Pac-12. But Stanford's not out of this thing for the playoff yet.
Well, I don't think any Pac-12 team, and in particular Stanford and Washington, if they wind up with one loss and win the conference, they ought to be in the playoffs. But there's a long way to go to get there. And this game tonight, Utah, desperation time. They can't afford to lose, and Stanford really can't either. Both teams hanging in the balance there with staying in their Pac-12 respective races.
Costello looking for Arcega-Whiteside, and Johnson on the coverage.
Looked like Costello got stepped on at the end of that play. He's hopping around. Landed in one of his own linemen or a Utah lineman stepped on his foot. It looks okay, though.
Yeah, kind of shaking it out. Yeah, just kind of in that fracas. Ended up getting wrapped up. Lucky Fotu. Spates found the alley, and a good run on 2nd down to set up 3rd and 3.
You know, last year when Utah had a lot of success taking away Stanford's main rushing attack, power game and whatnot. Stanford responded by zone read, and it gave Utah trouble. It was the first bit of a little zone read. At some point here, expect to see Costello keep the ball on a zone read, because it doesn't appear that anyone's assigned to him right now.
Costello gets hit. Max Tupai, the redshirt sophomore, with the first sack of his career.
Well, not recognizing the blitz, and a nice job of just continuous effort by Utah. The timing for Costello, not good. He has to know he's got 7 coming. He's got to get rid of it. Couldn't account for that guy. He didn't see him. And a good job, good tackle by Tupai.
Bailey kicks away to Covey. He returns it to the 25. The equation for Stanford becoming that much more difficult. Down by 9. A little bit of equations that I had to deal with yesterday.
Really?
ESPN College Football is presented by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And in part by Nissan, premier partner of the Heisman Trophy.
Or do we have a rule to deal with E not to the X, but E to the X over 2?
Mark Lucianovic does a fantastic job for the math department here at Stanford. Javon Swan was nice enough to let me sit in with him.
You were cheating.
I'm not going to admit that on camera.
You don't have to admit it.
Just my eyes
we
were
saw it. But
just veering around.
One other thing for you. Friday class, that's a rookie move. That's a rookie move.
Underneath the center.
Everybody in college knows you don't schedule any class on a Friday.
Bad move on my part.
There were so many letters on the board. I thought it was a language class, not a math class.
We were discussing derivatives in Calc 20 with Jovan Swan, who is a human biology major. Excellent young student. He's a junior out of Greenwood, Indiana. Really appreciated Jovan being nice enough to explain some of the things on both sides of the equation. I was saying it in a nice way, right? On the ground, it's Moss. Close to a first down. Hardest class that you took in your time at Stanford? I mean, I imagine they're all pretty hard, but what was the hardest class?
I did not enjoy any minute of calculus. The series, none of it.
None of it?
None of it. None of it. Not one bit. But it had to be done.
Well, there's left side brain people, there's right side brain people. Use the other side.
I wonder if I should have used your technique a little bit more. Just peering over.
These are all smart cats, man, here at Stanford. My first trip to the Stanford campus. It was a blast. Tyler Huntley on the move to the 40-yard line. Again, classes just started 2 weeks ago come Monday, September the 24th. It's weird. There's a bit of a trend in terms of classes picking up, midterms coming around, and Stanford's success or lack thereof on the football field.
Yeah, I think there's a history of that. I think most Stanford people would tell you if you combine the start of classes and a road trip, you know, Stanford has struggled with that. But home, like this is Utah.
Third down coming up as Huntley runs it.
And speaking of Utah, 4-minute offense or not, if you think it's too early for that, slowing down, taking every minute off the clock puts more pressure on David Shaw and that offense for Stanford.
And be smart here. You know, this is a Utah team so far this season. Self-inflicted wounds have defined their season, whether it be turnovers, penalties. This is a critical call.
Would you throw it here, Q?
No, I would not.
I like the quarterback run game.
Huntley stays on his feet. Launches down the sideline. He's got Nakua. Touchdown. Oh, what a turn of events for Tyler Huntley.
How about that throw? How about staying alive? Gabe Reed had him in the backfield, and Huntley got out of it and lost it. A perfectly thrown ball out there for Nakua to pick up. Bunkum falls down, but watch this. He is trapped, and he still gets that out there. A missed sack, and it's 6 points. Wow, what a throw.
Biggest play of the night for Huntley.
We talked about his confidence early on and how it's grown. If that wasn't a confident play, there's nothing like it. And Utah is up.
When we finish up here in Stanford, we'll have post-fight reaction and breakdown from Khabib and McGregor at the UFC fight tonight. Oklahoma and Texas in a classic at the Cotton Bowl. LSU going on the road to Florida. And then, of course, key moments from the Game 2s in the American League Division Series. All coming up on SportsCenter when we're done here at Stanford Stadium, where Utah still maintains a 2-score lead, but a huge touchdown by Tyler Huntley to extend the advantage for the Utes, finding Samson Nakua.
Well, you go back to the touchdown. Here's the matchup. Nakua against Bunkum, and a little wheel route, and that gives Nakua just a little bit of space because Bunkum comes a little bit flat, and there is Nakua behind him deep and open, and what a throw. And yeah, you can celebrate with that. When you do that, you can celebrate as much as you want.
Maybe a little bit of relief for Tyler Huntley. First touchdown pass since his 4 TD passes in the opener against Weber State.
What a game he's played tonight.
He's been excellent. Now KJ Costello back to work, finding Irwin. Just a thought on Huntley, though. At one point, you turned to me in a break and said, I like how they're using Tyler Huntley tonight on the offensive end.
Well, they used him perfectly early on. They got his confidence going, and it grew as the game went along, and they gave him the tougher throws later.
Good run for the first down by Spinks. And now time becoming a factor after that huge touchdown by Huntley.
Stanford has to be in hurry-up mode here.
So Utah's playing coverage here, and Costello still finds the big boy Smith all the way inside the Utah 40.
Just the seam route, and again, Costello has been successful tonight when he keeps the ball up high and allows his big targets to go get it. He's only been in trouble when the ball's been low. Couple of picks.
Whiteside. Forward progress will put him at the 33 before Jalen Johnson pushed him back.
Well, you know, Adam, one of the tendencies we've seen tonight for Utah is this area of the field bring pressure. I would expect them to do it again because Stanford protect Costello when this comes.
Here it comes again. That ball's loose, and the Utes have it. Tyrone Young-Smith jarred it into the hands of Corian Ballard. A huge takeaway by Utah.
How about Utah making plays down the stretch here? The big touchdown catch, and then in a situation when you knew the pressure was going to come, they still managed to get there. They bring the house. Stanford tries to pick it up on the front side. On the back side, too much pressure coming in by Anai and also by Hansen.
That's officially a fumble and a fumble recovery but it's the third Costello turnover tonight.
Yeah, but, you know, you have to expect and see that coming in that situation. We've watched Utah all night bring that pressure in that situation, and Stanford wasn't prepared and couldn't pick it up.
It's been a couple of times. You said it seems like they've been a little slow on the blitz pickups. And now Zach Moss is just looking for the knockout punch. All the way inside the Stanford 25-yard line, and the Utes are in control.
Knockout punch. How about the knockout up front? And the left side of that offensive line just really, watch this. They just drive Stanford way off the ball. Nobody there, and Moss picking up more and more yardage.
And the passion still coming through, but under circumstances that he does not want to see. Zach Moss, back-to-back 100-yard games after a big one last week against Washington State. This is the 9th meeting all-time between Stanford and Utah. They first met back in 1902, again in 1924, again in 1989, a couple of times in the mid-90s, and now obviously Pac-12 foes. During that stretch, Utah has never lost at Stanford Stadium, and trying to do something that not many teams do. That's win a game at Stanford. The Cardinal have won 11 straight at home. Play clock was all the way down to 1, but some movement up front by Utah.
False start, offense number 7. 5-yard penalty, replay second down. Clock will go on the snap.
Seven accepted penalties against Utah tonight, just 2 on Stanford.
How do you like that Florida connection for Utah tonight? 2/3 of it is really delivered, don't you think?
The Hallandale trio. Tyler Huntley was at Hallandale High School. And then Damari Simpkins and Zach Moss, as seniors, both decided to play together with Tyler Huntley, and all 3 came out west to Utah. As you mentioned, 2 of those 3 have been major impact players tonight.
17 of 21 for Huntley tonight, and a $160 on the ground for Moss.
So many high school players will stay at home in Florida. Those guys wanted to get away.
And they've done it out at Utah for Kyle Whittingham. Up 16 with 3:42 to go. For those around the country trying to figure out what this game means, the Pac-12 was already sitting in a tough spot entering today in terms of trying to make the playoff. Stanford, Washington, maybe even Oregon are probably your best bets. This is a tough loss if Stanford suffers it.
Well, 2 losses means you're not in the playoff. The committee has not put in a 2-loss team. Now, for Stanford, the Pac-12 championship may still be up in the air. You think about, will the Pac-12 have a possible representative? In my view, Washington is really the only legitimate candidate left in the conference because of their schedule.
3:37 to play. We're back in 30 seconds. We'll break this down a little more for you. So Utah out with Matt Gay for a field goal, and this would be the knockout blow, make it a 3-score lead with 3:37 left. A perfect night for one of the best in the country, and it's 40-21 Utah. My goodness. 14th ranked team coming back home, body blows the last 2 weeks, so Stanford looks like they're going to suffer their second loss. We were talking a little bit about the perspective in terms of the Pac-12 and the playoff race. Dive in further for me.
Well, I think if you talk about Washington, they had that tough loss to open with Auburn. That's 1 loss. If they run out the table, Pac-12 champ with 1 loss against an SEC team that's in the upper echelon over there, that's not that bad. That's not bad at all. They ought to be in the discussion. Oregon's schedule, their non-conference schedule, holds them back. Colorado, if they should make the run, their schedule holds them back.
Okay.
So I think a lot of it just falls to Washington if you're wondering about the Pac-12 possibly having a representative in the playoff.
And Auburn, a loss today,
Yep.
certainly won't hurt Washington's, or will hurt Washington's resume a little bit as well.
But remember, the Pac-12 championship could be decided and have nothing to do with the playoff.
That's true. Cameron Scarlett on the return. Rod Q, we were both talking about the upcoming schedules as well. Stanford and Washington still play one another down the line. Washington, Oregon next week. That's an important game now all of a sudden. As if it weren't already. It adds even more pressure onto the Huskies in terms of waving the Pac-12 flag towards the playoff.
That is one heck of a matchup. That's a heck of a quarterback, Justin Herbert at Oregon. And that's been a nasty rivalry until you go back to the days of Kenny Wheaton for Oregon with that pick six that infuriated Washington fans. They know what I'm talking about.
Costello, down he goes. Bradley and I will get the sack he was seeking a year ago. Gets it on Costello. I think our crew did a great job putting this together. I love that quote, though, from David Shaw.
Yeah.
He didn't say it was the best rivalry.
Right.
He didn't say it was the most intense. He said Washington, Oregon is the nastiest rivalry in the Pac-12. That's 3:30 next Saturday for you, Washington and Oregon. Did that surprise you, being a part of one of the great rivalries, not just in this conference, but in college football history?
I've kept my eye on that rivalry since that Kenny Wheaton kick six back in 94.
94? Okay.
I think it was 94.
Yep.
You know, and that was something that really created it.
Costello, too tall. That is going to be a great atmosphere, obviously. And you're looking at Jake Browning, Justin Herbert, that secondary for Washington. That's a great matchup next week.
One of the members of our crew confirmed how nasty it is. Caleb Smith works with us, and he played for the Ducks. And he said, no doubt, it's a nasty rivalry.
All those things that you see in the bottom right of your screen, Caleb and Annika back in our truck, along with our fantastic graphics crew, does all the work there. Caleb, a former Oregon Duck. He knows what that's all about. That's going to be fun next Saturday. Arcega Whiteside with the catch. Guidry on the stop.
Now, what's this mean for Utah? Remember, they came in a team desperately needing to win tonight. And Kyle Whittingham told us last night, hey, you can lose two and win the South. He thinks it's wide open. And if they play like this every week, they're alive.
Smith on the catch. Utah will finally play a Pac-12 South team for the first time this coming week. It is a short week, by the way, for Utah. They go on the road to Tucson Friday night, 10 Eastern, right here on ESPN. Interesting game out in Tucson. That one deflected, a low throw, knocked down by Pututa.
But you can see Utah getting where they need to be. The defense has never really been a question. Yeah, you have a mistake here and there, but they've played pretty well. It was the offense that was hurting them. But they seem to have found that rhythm, that identity. You run Moss, you give the short passing game and the run pass option to Hundley, and you make sure that Covey is available to keep drives extended, and it works. And this really worked for them tonight.
Oh, what a grab by Caden Smith. That was a great play inside the 40 of Utah. The Utes, in their first two Pac-12 games, scored a total of 41 points. Now, granted, Washington's a really good defense, and Washington State's pretty good. Stanford's known for its toughness at the defensive end. And they're playing at home. This is the best game Utah has played this year. I know that's an obvious thing to say, but to do it here against this team, pretty impressive.
Well, a couple things. Remember, Bryce Love wasn't available.
Fair.
But also, this is a Stanford team that was highly motivated because they felt that Notre Dame had been more physical than they were. and they were determined to prove that they are still an elite physical team, and Utah brought it to them tonight.
Yeah, agreed. By the way, not in Tucson, in Salt Lake City on Friday. Beg your pardon. Irwin on the catch. Oh, that ball's loose, and that's the 4th turnover, I believe. It is for Stanford. Utah is taking it away again, and this one's done. And Utah is going to come up with a huge road win tonight.
It is not overstating it to say that Utah just saved its season. Couldn't afford a 3rd loss. You see Irwin trying to get some extra yardage. That ball is stripped out. 4 turnovers. They shut down Stanford's rushing attack. They sacked Costello 3 times. And they found their identity on offense.
A total and complete Utah performance for, I think, the truly first time this year for Kyle Whittingham.
They saved their season. They are now still alive in the Pac-12 South. They know who they are. They get Arizona at home. They could go on a run here.
Arizona, USC, UCLA, Arizona State, Oregon, Colorado, and then they close with BYU in the Holy War. This is a makeable stretch. There's some very difficult opponents in there, but this is a wide open division in college football, the Pac-12 South.
No doubt.
Kyle Whittingham's team had lost 6 straight to AP top 25 teams. They snapped that skid with their first win over a ranked team in 3 seasons.
How about Hundley? He played his best game of the season. His confidence really, really grew as the game went on. And they went away from short passes and let him throw it down the field. And boy, did it deliver for him. Great game by him tonight.
Johnson had the 100-yard pick 6. Utah led 21-0 and extended the lead late. Kyle Whittingham's team is 3-2. Stanford suffers back-to-back losses. For Rod Gilmore, Quint Keshnick, Adam Amin saying so long from Stanford, California. A victory for Utah tonight at SportsCenter in 15 seconds.
Best tailgate, brisket.
No, real football y pollo asado.
Hoops and wings. Burgers.
7-layer dip.
Hummus.
What?
You need a hot grill.
And an ice-cold Coke.
It's got to be cold.
It's Tailgating 101.